Okay, so you're going to want to open up your Gmail account that you use for communication with us through Sedona Mystical Tours. If you have multiple accounts, you can click on that icon over on the right-hand side, and then where it says show more accounts, just make sure that you log into the correct account. And then you can go ahead and log into your Google Drive. And there's a couple ways that you can find the information. So you can either search in the drive for your invoice here, or go to shared with me on the left hand side and you can find the invoice that way. So once you found your invoice, you want to just make sure that it's the correct invoice for the correct year. And if you see here at the very bottom, there's 4 tabs, and each tab has clickable links that you can view for a PDF, for example, to overview for the considerations. That it can just be handy to have all of these available and maybe download to your computer for future reference to be able to cross-check. This is also where you'll find the training video for future information as well. So you'll want to become familiar with each tab as far as the overview, considerations, submission and payments, additional amounts, and then a sample page, which can be helpful just to view as you're going along too. So again, I like to have one of these handy to be able to view as the PDF when inputting the information into the invoice. So next you'll see all the tabs listed over here from the date first, and then so the date of the month and then the day for those pay periods all the way from January 1st over to December. I'll explain over here what that means for the yearly totals at the very end. So we'll go ahead and open up for the pay period. And so let's just say we'll open up for February here, inputting in the date. Let's just say it's February 1st. And this number will always apply. There's nothing that you need to do to input anything for count. I'll explain the importance of this number a little bit later. And you can go ahead and input the person's name here, and then the tour or session name. So let's just say this was a 2-hour healing tour. And let's say if we had one client, it's going to apply the information if we had more than 2 people. So for example, you had 7 people. This number here is automatically going to tally for that amount over 2 people. Okay, so this next column, as far as client communication, is where we offer a bonus. If you are reaching out to clients 48 hours in advance, then you can apply that additional $10. If it's less than 48 hours and before 24 hours, it's the amount is 0. If contacted less than 24 hours, or if it's not resolved after 5 p.m. the day prior to your tour, those additional amounts would apply. So for example, negative $10 if it's less than 24 hours. And the reason for that is just as an incentive for you to be able to reach out to clients in advance and also to pay for any communication after hours for the staff to help resolve any of the issues as far as communication. If you do have questions for that, you can always view that in the tabs listed for under additional amounts. It goes into more detail there as far as the client communication. Okay, so again, applying that bonus just as an incentive to be able to reach out to clients to establish a good connection, to relay any pertinent details or location information. So that's where that information will apply there. And as far as the duration for the tours, we'll input the 2-hour. We'll input the number 2. If it were 3-hour, obviously that would be the number 3 for 3 hours. So we'll say it was 2 hours, and then the rate listed here for $50 per hour. Additional amounts, if applicable, this is where you can review those additional amounts, whether that be for sessions or for tours, listed right there. And then the next column for miscellaneous, you'll see anything for if it's a referral or a repeat client. You can, again, review that information in the additional amounts tab. So repeat clients, let's say if it was a repeat client for a 2-hour tour, then we would apply that amount directly into the invoice. And then underneath the notes, any pertinent details that you want to relay here that still honors the client confidentiality, but I think could be helpful for either us to know or relay, or for yourself to know for future reference. So pertinent information, if you do have them as repeat clients in the future, it's always helpful just to be able to refer back to any notes or considerations you have, maybe anything that had arisen during the tour or session. And for example, maybe if someone sprained their ankle, that's all helpful information. If that was the case, then you'll want to let admin know either by text message or email, and also inputting that information here as well. But we also just love to be able to hear any of the great comments and feedback and positive experiences here. So feel free to list that in the notes as well. Location, you can either put the L number if you're familiar, or trail. And then I'm going to explain how to do a session. So we've gone through how to do a tour. If you were to do a session, let's just say that was O2 on the 10th. Again, that will automatically apply right here. So, and let's say that was just say it was a astrology session, a healing session. Okay, so typically for healing sessions, it's going to be one person because they're individual one-on-ones. If you did happen to have a sound healing experience, let's just say you had 5 people for a sound healing, that amount is automatically going to apply for the additional amount over 2 people there. Okay, so again, the same amount applies here for client communication. If you did reach out at least 48 hours in advance, applying that here. Let's say that you forgot to reach out 2 days in advance and reached out 32 hours in advance. It's not quite within that window, so that omits the bonus there. And let's say that the sessions, well, generally they're anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. So if it's 60 minutes, that number would be 1. 75 minutes listed above, we see 1.25, or 90 minutes, which is 1.5. Okay, so again, you can just refer to this tab here for reference for that in the future. The session rate we'll input here, and any additional amounts if applicable. Because we did say this one was a sound healing, we'll apply the additional amounts for the sound healing here. And if it was a repeat client or anything, of course, that's where you'll input the information there. Same considerations as far as the notes, and then location, if it was at their accommodation or at your own studio. You would just input that information in the location information. Okay, so I had mentioned earlier about the importance of this number, and it will always apply to 1 for every session or tour that you have. So the reason for that is that calculates all of your information over here on the very last tab for yearly totals. And so under yearly totals, you'll see if there are any rollover funds, for example, from previous years. If you didn't meet the minimum for cash out, you'll see that amount applied here. So you can either cash out for the slow season or inclement weather, or if you did want to purchase anything for training or supplies, for example, then you can apply that amount to your timesheet, and just make note of that for us when you're submitting your timesheet. So let's say that you wanted to apply the $22 for supplies. We'll input that number right here for $22. And then under notes, just say cash out for, let's just say it was for an essential oil. Okay. So lastly, you'll notice how every other tab has this reviews from previous months. That's going to be for the first pay period for the month. And if there was an additional amount that's already applied, say you had 5 reviews from the previous month, then that would automatically calculate for you up here as part of the actual totals. Okay, so lastly, you'll go ahead and submit the invoice either by emailing, or you can share this file and just typing in the email for Sedona Mystical Experiences, LLC. Notify people, easy as that. If you want, you can type a message here. Doesn't need to be anything verbose, but anytime you do apply your cash outs, please just let us know in the message or the email. So we'll apply it here. And then go ahead and make sure that you click send. So anytime that you send or email us, that's how we know that the timesheet is ready and complete and ready to view, so that we can get you paid for that pay period. And if you have any questions about the process, again, you can just refer to those tabs listed as far as overview and considerations. Then you can also email us if you don't find the answer that you're looking for in any of those tabs, which you can email billing@sedonamysticaltours.com. Okay, thanks, you guys.